Hi, I'm Sarah Louise and welcome to my channel. So I talk about my spiritual journey and insights that I get along the way, and I share them with you guys on manifesting and soul connections and twin flames. Wow, the light is so bright today. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about the void and the darkness and how we can kind of like move through those periods the fastest. So I think I've done videos on the void before, and I probably had different ways of dealing with it back then to how I do now, because we're always evolving and growing and kind of moving forwards on our journey. So I had a really big void period over like the last week or so leading up to the 21st. I just felt I'm sure a lot of you on this journey can really identify with that feeling where you feel really void, where you just have no passion for anything anymore. It's sort of like a dark chasm within, and there's nothing from the outside could alleviate that chasm. And in the past, I kind of used to surrender to it and allow it, and it would pass. Like what I've always felt it to be is that as we're dropping and we're shedding layers of ourselves, and we're, dropping limiting beliefs, and we're dropping like false identity, or kind of like not dropping per se, because we can still have our ego and that's fine, but we're kind of seeing through those layers of the ego, then we have to kind of then find it within. And that's a bit of a stage because we're not used to it. We're so used to kind of like outer, that as we start to see through things and drop them and bring them inner, then it kind of leaves a bit of a void feeling, or that's how I've always felt about it. I see my inner world as kind of like a reflection of the outer world. So I see like we have almost a black hole within ourselves, and when we're shifting, we get pulled into that gravitational force where everything's super present and nothing exists to be able to make like a multi-dimensional shift. So I kind of see that void as like an inner black hole, I guess. And I talked through this one with somebody, and it really helped me process, because I saw it in a whole different way. That I realized that even though I've said I'm not afraid of my shadow, I'm not afraid of like facing myself, I'm not afraid of like, looking at my darker emotions, I wasn't, and I always did that, but I always kind of did it with sorry, I really need to wash my hair. I really always did it to kind of get rid of that feeling, because it felt very uncomfortable. Like being in the void or the darker energies has always felt super uncomfortable for me, and I've just done the work kind of to get out of that and to move into the higher energies again. So I haven't actually so I've always done stuff with the intention of getting rid, and I've judged it as a lesser ideal state to be in and a not good feeling to have. So this is kind of where I changed my tact a bit, because I was kind of walking it through with somebody else, and I realized that I'd never actually gone into it without judgment, like seeing what was really there in the void. And what I did the other night was I don't know how to explain this in words, but I kind of like befriended my inner void and my inner darkness, and I actually saw its power and its creative energy and its creative power. And I allowed myself to not want to get rid of it, but to like feel into it in a way of understanding that it has its own creative power, just as the light does. We look at kind of like God and Satan, but you can kind of see these two as the same, two sides of the same coin. You have the duality of the oneness is kind of Satan and God, And you don't become union by only looking at God and kind of ignoring Satan exists. You kind of embrace the creative energy of the dark, because the dark kind of destroys, like it's dark matter, it's empty space, and the light kind of builds and generates and amplifies. And I'm starting to understand how the two energies kind of sync together and can be actually embraced and enjoyed. Like, I think it takes that time when you really, really go into that void, because it feels so horrible, like so horrible, when you're not used to it. But then when you kind of befriend it and you don't judge it as bad, and you allow yourself to kind of just really go into it and see what it has for you without judgment, without seeing it as bad, you can feel that it has its own power and its own super creative power. And yeah, this really has shifted a lot for me. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well. I'm sure I'll like come back and try and make another video where I like share it a bit better. But it's, my cat is going mad. But yeah, there's really this process of not integrating to get rid of, but integrating to acknowledge the power that energy has, because that energy propels you. Like that void I now see as a propellant. Like, it is a dark hole, it's dark matter, it's a propellant that allows you to move into another dimension. So by allowing yourself to embrace it and feel its power and feel its creativity and enjoy its energy, then you're kind of allowing yourself to shift into a more joyful place. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but yeah, next time you feel the void, maybe play around with that, because I realized it was the first time in my life that I'd actually truly embraced the void and embraced that darker energy, rather than sort of like acknowledged it only to get rid of it. I actually like went really deep into it, and it's been a real game changer for me, because then you don't have to sort of think, oh, I'm going like down to go up and I have to purge to go light. You just sort of actually see it as all aspects of the same coin, which is all facets of yourself, and you're not kind of like judging one as lesser and one as better. You're just allowing, and you're understanding the creativity and the power in every state. And then you're like a more kind of like multifaceted whole being that then can move and integrate into union and feel like those really, like, you know, I find after I did that, I got into such a heart-centered place. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because that's kind of new for me. I've always allowed, but I definitely saw that stage as something that I just like couldn't wait to get rid of. And as soon as I kind of like saw the creativity in it and its own specialness, then it's like been a real game changer for me. I think this is really waffly. I'm sorry. Sometimes when I try and explain these things, it's really hard to put them into words, but I hope everyone's good, and speak soon.